Hello and welcome to the Dailies on Aqua Television International, where we keep you updated with what is happening from our papers this morning. I am Sana Elisha Dasham, and we're live on Facebook and YouTube. You can do well to drop your comment or your contribution on any story that is of interest to you. And of course, I have Rachel Tanzo with me in the studio. Good morning, Rachel.
Morning, Sally.
How you doing?
I'm fine. How about you?
I'm great, thank you. You know, looking at the fact that today is World Hypertension Day, and then it's even more scary that back was then where you feel that hypertension only like say it's only among the older people, but right now we're seeing that even youths are actually you know, going through hypertension. And I think they said it's advisable that from when you are from age 30 and above, it's advisable you go for checkup to check your, you know, your BP, to be sure that you are not having anything, whether maybe through family or lifestyle or anything. So I think it's really, really important. And of course, we'll be seeing awareness being raised by various NGOs. I'm talking about even health bodies will be, you know, raising the awareness on hypertension. Free checkups will be done. But I think this should not just be limited to just the day where we are celebrating World Hypertension Day or any other world, you know, day, but it should be something we do regularly, because we have this culture, especially in this part of the country, where we hardly go for any checkup, except when we fall ill. We just don't want to check to know if there's anything wrong. But I think it's advisable at a time like this, especially if you're 30 years and above, that you do make it a pattern or make it part of your schedule that you go for a regular checkup, just to be sure that you're doing okay and that you're doing fine.
Yes, for me personally, I've always been someone who has been paranoid about my health. Once I feel something, I start thinking, Googling left, right, center. So I've always been someone who, whatever I can do. So when it comes to checking things like BP, sugar, that's just always been, whenever I get the chance, I'll check it just to be sure that I'm okay. And I've been okay. So far, so good. But the older you get, the more, like, I keep saying, medicine, health, everything keeps evolving really fast, and we realize that some certain age that has been given to a type of sickness doesn't hold anymore. So we've had people who died at a very young age of heart attack, and you would think these are things for people in their midlives or older senior citizens, but then we've had younger people even below 30 having cardiac arrest and dying and all of that. So when it comes to our health, because what is happening is that we're having a lot of pollution that we used to before. We've talked about how our crops are no longer having the standard they used to because of the chemicals and all of that. And above all, we're not living the best healthy lifestyle we could be. We don't exercise that much. We don't eat a balanced diet. We're in an era or generation where we feel living the good life is having pizza, shawarma, and eating all the unhealthy fast food. So we don't really we don't make the best health choices if we were to tell ourselves the truth. So it is important that you get yourself these testing kits at home and just keep checking your BP. Once you find yourself having this really bad headache that doesn't go, or you just find yourself restless and all of that, keep checking, because you said it. I know recently of someone who died of a high BP, and this person just turned 30 and all of that. And I could say the same for a family member of mine also. These were all young people. So it is very important that we take our health. So let's take the simple things. It don't cost you much to just walk into a pharmacy in case you don't have the testing kit at home, to walk into the pharmacy and just keep checking from time to time, plus your sugar level also, because we're eating a lot of junks, and you don't know, some things are hereditary, and they may not show themselves early, they may come late, and before you know it, you can't do anything about it. So let's take our health seriously, and we shouldn't wait for a day like this before we go do a checkup that we're being reminded that it's World Hypertension Day. No, just make it a regular thing.
I think we'll add, maybe you will have to look for a way to send you to a medical school very soon, Rachel. Well, just like I said, we're live on Facebook and YouTube, so you can drop your comment on any of the stories of interest to you. And let us go through the papers, Rachel, starting with the Leadership newspaper.
On the Leadership newspaper, gunmen kill family of 7 in Benue, abduct 14 others in Abuja. Still on the assault case, court remands Shehu Kuti in police custody. We have trending Guinness Book of Record reviewing Hilda Bachi's feat, and we have SEC targets 25% market capitalization from non-interest products. The details you can find on page 2. 12 days to go, Tinubu conquers to discuss government of national unity in France. NSA IGP to governors-elect tackle poverty and unemployment. The details can be found on page 7. And the big story on Leadership newspaper, 22.7 trillion ways and means. Crisis brews in reps over $50 million executive legacies. And we have members get $10,000 each. Grumble over unfair sharing as Speaker keeps mum. Plot to adjourn House indefinitely. Taking the details can be found on page 4. DSL's orders raid terrorists hideout in Kaduna and Kano. NUC impeding innovation, creativity in universities. This is the Agora policy. If you want to know more, find the details on page 4. FFS moves to tackle alarming fire outbreaks. The details can be found on page 6. And we have a gridlock in Lagos yesterday on the Marina Bridge, and you can see the details and you can see how it is crazy out there. You can find the details inside the paper, and that's all the news on Leadership newspaper.
On the Vanguard newspaper, federal government establishes 13 metropolitan fire stations across Nigeria, which you can find on page 25. And on the 10th National Assembly, come early, avoid Saraki, Laiku, Adamu tells Apabio, Baru, and others. Buhari baffled by perceived level of corruption. You can find that story inside the paper as well. Emifele's Naira redesign cop terrorism. Ariwa used tell Matawadi, which you can find on page 13, because there were stories we saw in the paper yesterday where Matawadi said that Emifele should not be left to leave the country. So we can see Ariwa youth are replying in relation to that the redesign have actually, reduced terrorism. So you can read more detail of that story on page 13. The big story here says federal government incurs 36.8 trillion naira deficit in 8 years under Buhari, with the rider record 32 trillion naira revenue and spent 68 trillion naira. 77% of deficit incurred in 4 years. You can find more detail of what we have created as revenue, because it looked like we spend more than we actually generate in the country. So you can read more detail of that story on page 19. 4 U.S. Embassy staff killed in Anambra, which is a sad story, which you can do well to read more detail inside the paper. And on assault, court orders Shehu Kuti's detention. We have a column for Baba Ahmed, another for Efe Babalola, and also on sports. The picture story here, we have induction for governors. You can do well to read more detail. We can see the governor of Lagos State among other stakeholders. So you do well, grab the Vanguard and read more details of the story.
On Daily Sun newspaper, Uzodinma Soludo clash on state police. We can't afford it now, coming from the Imo governor. We fund everything, yet we are not in charge. Coming from Anambra governor, NSA, DSS, IGP give security advisory to incoming governors. Coming from Afenifere, May 29th inauguration, Sacrosanct Hills Police and U.S. stand. You can find the details on page 28. And the big story, senators will decide your fate. APC chairman tells Apabio, advises Akwa Ibom ex-governor not to be late on National Assembly inauguration day, confirms further consultations. The details can be found on page 6. Visa restriction, good news for democracy, coming from Bala. And Fani Kayode condemns action. Deputy Speakership, Benjamin Kalu faces hurdle as coalition wants slot zone to Ebonyi. Court remands Shehu Kuti, gives 48 hours to police to complete investigation. Musician not charged yet. We only went to court for remand order. This is coming from police. You can find the details on page 4. We still have a column which was on our paper from yesterday and today. Southeast Senate presidency is for justice, fairness, and equity, coming from Senator Oji Uzokalu. And that's all the news on Daily Sun newspaper.
And on the Punch newspaper, starting with a big story on the strike, doctors shun talks, medical tourism, gulp $3 billion in 3 years. With the rider, resident doctors reject Ngige peace move, decry health sector brain drain, which you can find on page 2. And we started talking about this yesterday, Rachel, looking at the fact that how much we spend on health tourism, medical tourism. We can see here, they said just in 3 years, we spent about $3 billion. And just imagine if this money was actually, you know, being pumped into the health sector here in the country. Reverse would have been the case. I don't think we would have heard resident doctors saying they're going on strike. I don't think that our health facility will be the way they are presently. I don't think that things will be the way it is if only the money we used to go outside would have actually pumped it into the health sector here. That's one part on the other. And I do not think that the doctors would have actually been leaving the country to go to other countries looking for greener pastures. So we can see that yesterday we saw in the paper that the strike is starting from today, and they have shown any talk with the federal government. That is, they want that whatever they want should actually be given to them at the end of the day. And I'm just pleading with the government to please look into the plead of these resident doctors, because just like I said yesterday, those people who are the receiving end are the people that are actually the patients in the hospital. If you cannot afford to go to any private hospital, then you're on your own as it is presently, and then at the end of the day, we'll see lives being lost at the end of the day. So I'm hoping something will be done. I remember during the first casting where it even got to the point where patients had to buy the diesel if you want your loved one to be operated on. It got that bad, Rachel. So I am truly hoping the federal government would really take a good look at how much education do we give to this sector, how much have we been given, or how much has that sector been given. Let's take a review at the past 8 years, 4 years, 3 years, how much are they giving yearly, and then we'll begin to compare it. We saw that what we are generating as revenue, we're just looking at 36 trillion naira, and we are spending 68. So we're looking at almost twice what we generate in the country. So if we are borrowing, let us see where this money is going, and then let us see it, you know, on the welfare of various sectors, from the health, aviation, education, and all of that. So I just hope something will be done. Still, if as we're looking at the hypertension there, I think it will really be fair that we really look into the plight of our resident doctors, and then we do something as a country for them.
Shasela, like definitely if we're to convert this 3 billion in 3 years to naira, you would see that it's way more than what has been allocated to the health sector. When you look at last year's budget and even the budgets previously, you will see that we are spending tons more than we are putting into the health sector as our budget. And these are all money still coming from the federal pocket, because whether we like it or not, this 3 billion is coming from all the senators going out for treatment, from all the members of the House of Representatives, the governors, and we know that anything concerning their health is still coming from the pocket of the government, not from their own personal pocket, because how many people truly can afford treatment abroad? And whether we like it or not, this is the problem that we are facing in Nigeria. And then until something is being done about it, until I keep saying it and will not get tired of saying the same thing, that we need to restructure this country in a way that it is not selfish, but that it truly wants growth. Because our doctors will keep leaving because those other countries that we are still going to pay them are improving their sectors. Because I keep saying it, the health sector is one sector that on its own can make enough revenue. And if we're even talking about these private hospital sellers, how many of them are really good? We go there because we feel it's faster, the queue are less, and you get treated really quick than when how long you have to spend in the government hospital. But we know of a lot of private hospitals in the past and presently that have killed a lot of people just because it's fine, it's beautiful, you get that treatment, you have that personal treatment, and all of that doesn't mean that they have top-notch health treatment, because whether we like it or not, some of the best doctors we have are still in our government hospital, and that is why they have good enough qualification that they are leaving the country and they are being accepted in another country, because most of the doctors leaving are not in the private hospitals but are our government doctors working in the federal government hospital. So they are good, whether we like it or not. Our majority of doctors who are really good, who can perform surgeries, who are intelligent, who keep upgrading their knowledge, are working with the federal government. But where they see that they will go and gain value for what they give, then they will go there, because I don't think that the private hospitals are really the best. They just give you a unique treatment, but that doesn't mean that that's where the best doctors are. So what are we trying to say here is that let the government just do something silly. We're just tired of this back and forth, because in the end, you and I are the ones at the receiving end. The patients currently in the hospital that are 10,000 to 1 doctors are the one at the receiving end in the end of the day. And we'll just keep having more casualties and patients who could be treated but not getting the treatment and dying out of a situation where it could have been avoided in the first place. It's really sad, but I believe that there is hope for Nigeria, and one day soon, hopefully, we will have an administration that will be selfless and truly grow the country.
Of course, Rachel. Well, let's look at other stories still on the Punch. National Assembly leadership, APC wants a Pabio Abbas against upset, which you can find on page 19. Nigeria needs $12 billion to clean up oil spill. This is a report you can find on page 20. Strengthen anti-graft agency, federal government advises Tinubu. And then we have the pictures to where we can see Army reward 58 soldiers with bicycles and cash gift. That happened at the headquarters 3 division. So you can do well to check that story on page 12. Manufacturers threaten shutdown over excess duty hike. Not again, we hope something will be done to look into that. And we have court remand Shehu Kuti, police come home for exhibit. And coming from Anambra, gunmen killed 2 U.S. consulate officials and 2 cops, which you can find on page 12. And that's all on the Punch newspaper. All right, let's take a look at Nigerian Tribune.
On the Nigerian Tribune, we have the big story, Tinubu to open talks with G6, Yari and others. The writer following that, Delima overborough APC NWC Apabio 40 senators elect meet. Senators not APC NWC will decide Apabio's fate, Adamu tells Stability Group. We have the North Central yet to speak on National Assembly zoning. Kwara governor. This is a statement coming from the Kwara governor. APC zoning template unfair to North negates federal character principle. The statement coming from Yari, and we have Tinubu meets with Kwankwaso in France. You can find the details on page 2 and 4. Oyebode Kokari Asaju to Tinubu, how to deliver good leadership and governance. We have Buhari's presidency, a review. The details you can find on page 30. Many escape as gunmen open fire on travelers along Ado-Akure Road. Gunmen killed 38, set many houses on fire in Plateau. Naira redesign grounded bandit activities in the north. This is coming from the Ariwa youth. Shehu Kuti Ryan grounded, suspended, and you can find the details on page 8. We have the Senate approves independent candidacy, forward bill to Buhari for assent. NERC to revoke license of Kaduna discuss over 51 billion naira energy underpayment. EFCC operatives died during scuffle with colleagues over suspected seizures, and you can find the details on page 19, and that's all the news on Nigerian Tribune.
On this day newspaper, coming from the presidency, rising inflation not peculiar to Nigeria is a global challenge. With the writer IMF, African currency under pressure, depreciated by 8% since January 2022. Ghana, Sierra Leone currency suffers over 45% drop. We can find more detail of that story inside the paper on page 12. Gunmen kill 2 U.S. Embassy staff, 2 security officials in Anambra. You can find on page 12. BBC investigation like Premium Time showed Obi, not Tinubu won in Rivers contrary to Wike's loud claims, but the rider result from the arrest in Rivers alone may not have altered outcome of the presidential poll. You can start reading on the front page and continue on page 12. How Jibrin broke on Tinubu Kwankwaso meeting in France with the rider ex-Kanu governor may join government of national unity, and the president-elect allegedly proposed reconciling Ganduji predecessors. This is really the right step we're looking for a national unity where all of them will work together. I think in relation to what I said yesterday, it's very important that we have that. And we can see the picture story showing Buhari back from the UK where he's being welcomed. Another story here say Arewa youth say Naira redesign policy has reduced banditry and terrorism, which you can find on page 8. And I really think the issue of this insecurity is becoming something in relation to gunmen killing 2 U.S. Embassy staff and then 2 security officials in Anambra. And then we had about 38 that were being killed in Mangu local government of Plateau State. We have scores being killed in Benue and in Abuja. We have people being killed in Zamfara and in Katsina. A lot of things are happening, and it's quite sad when it's just when we are rounding up to this present administration, to the coming in administration. So I'm just hoping something will be done. It's a sad one because especially if you take a look at the insecurity that took place in Plateau State, I think that was about 1 a.m. when that thing happened, and most of the people who were being killed are women and children when they were about leaving because they had the gunshots, and so they're trying to save the women and kids, and then the bodies are not something you want to see, Rachel.
Definitely
And it shows us how heartless these people can be. And that is why when I saw the pictures where Army rewarded the 58 soldiers with bicycle, I began to ask, what are they supposed to do with these bicycles, Rachel? Because if we're Rachel, I'm putting it, looking at what these terrorists have in relation to what our army have or our soldiers have. You cannot match this equipment or this, I'm beginning to run out of words, maybe it's because of the situation at hand. But truly something needs to be done, because I say somebody with an armor tank and with a bicycle, of course the speed is not the same. So I'm really hoping we look deep into it. Yes, if these soldiers need to do something, we need the willingness, we need the dedication, but of course the equipment that they are supposed to use should also match with that. The people use also, because the terrorists are really not playing, because you begin to wonder, how did they get to kill this number of people? Of course, taking advantage of them when they are sleeping. So a lot is happening. So I just hope that something will be done. Maybe we need to sit down again and re-strategize, because it seems that the method we're using so far has not been working. So we need to use a different approach to be able to really, really take care of insecurity in the country, because we're looking at it's going to be farming this year if care is not taken, because farmers cannot really go to the farm. Rain is not falling as it should be. Thank God these days, I mean the past 2-3 days, the rain has been constant. So we're happy that food will be there. But then above that, I just hope something will be done concerning this insecurity we're having in various parts of the country.
I keep saying it, and I wouldn't change what I'm saying, that there's no need for a new, it's not about re-strategizing, it's about the government doing the work, Sele. And we have the resources to have more than what these people are having. As far as I'm concerned, they don't have more than what we have. But are we using it? Are we sending the right troops there? Are we enforcing our troops the right way? Is there sabotage in the system? Is there a jeopardy coming from somewhere or some? I don't get it, because we still go out there and perform well, and we are here in our country and we're not doing a good job. So it means that there is something wrong, that is not even about the government or the terrorists being more than our military, but then somebody is sleeping on their job, and that is the fact, and that's all what we can see. Because I keep saying it, there is no way that a whole government of Nigeria will not have the resources, the intelligence, the information to what and a way forward on how to do compared to terrorists who are moving in without the kind of money the whole government of Nigeria have, or the resources and all of that. So I keep saying it's all about doing the job, Sarah. It's all about waking up. It's all about the government waking up and truly saying we have Nigeria at heart. We have the citizens of this country. It's all about the government of Kaduna waking up and saying, we don't want the killings going on in southern Kaduna. It's all about the government of Benue State waking up, those who are in charge of the military. If it's above the state government, then the federal government steps in and say, we are tired of the killings going on in Benue, and this is what we need to do about it. We have all the strategies, we have all the resources, we have all that it takes, Sele, to fight whatever it is that is eating up the security of this country. All we need is for the people in that position to be truthful to Nigerians, to be honest, to be diligent and dedicated to their job, to truly want to see a Nigeria that is free of crime, that is free of dead killings left, right, center, because we will have on the paper that the president is collecting one piece of work here and there from one African body or other, and you wonder what was the yardstick used to measure that he is worth that award, when you have people being killed in Nigeria. Just because some part of Abuja is safe doesn't mean Abuja is safe. Just because some part of Plateau is safe doesn't mean Plateau is safe. Just because some part of Nigeria is safe doesn't mean Nigeria is safe, because I can leave my safe zone, be on my way to somewhere else and get kidnapped or get killed on the road. So it means the whole country is not secured, it's not safe, we are not at peace. And until we accept that and we stop portraying to the international bodies that things are okay in Nigeria, we might not get the help, the external help that we need. And if the government will keep lying and say things are okay, then it means that they are not putting in the job to see that things are done, because they are living in the motion that things are okay, whereas people are being killed every day in Nigeria. So I'm just looking forward to where we don't have that happening in Nigeria anymore, because it is, and it's eating us up.
Of course, Rachel. So we just hope, just like you said, those who are sleeping on their duties should actually wake up, and then we're having snitches. I think we have to start from that place too. Snitches in the army, snitches in the police, those snitches in the security body as a whole. I think that will help, the government to be able to really fight this insecurity. Before we move further with the papers, Richard, let's take this time out so we can open the phone lines for our callers to call in. A lot of things that happen on the paper. We still have the story of the 10th House of Assembly, the leadership. We're still having on, the meeting where the president-elect, and also Kwankwaso are meeting on national unity, which we think is a very healthy thing, where we have everybody coming together so we can work for the better of Nigeria. So when we come back from the break, we will open the phone line so you can air your view. Please stay tuned. Thanks for staying tuned. It's still the Dailies on your winning station. And before we went on the break, we're looking at various stories that have been making the lead on our paper. We saw where 4 were being murdered and killed in Anambra, talking about having some U.S. U.S. embassy staff that were being murdered. We're still having the story on the 10th House of Assembly, who will finally emerge as the Senate president. And also we've seen where the army gave the soldiers about 58 bicycles and some cash gift to appreciate them for their good work. These and many other stories are what we have on the paper this morning. I still have Rachel with me in the studio. Thanks, Rachel.
You're welcome, sir.
All right, our phone numbers are displayed on your screen at this moment. Please do well to call us. We'd love to hear your thoughts on stories of interest to you. And do remember to turn down the volume of your TV set, as we are interested in what you have to say concerning stories that are on the papers. And let's continue with the newspaper review, Rachel.
On First News newspaper, National Assembly approves independent candidacy. Tinubu Kwankwaso meet in France for peace talk. to protect witness, court, bars, lawyers, journalists from DCP Kyari's trial. Still on Senate presidency, Akpabio Barrow Stability Group consult APC and WC. And the big story, how Anambra hoodlums burned 4 murdered U.S. Embassy officials. And this is a statement coming from the police. Say 2 policemen, 2 consulate staff killed, no American citizen involved in incident. Arsonist murderers also abducted 2 other policemen driver. This is coming from the police PRO. And at the downside of the paper, we have while we're embarking on warning strike. This is coming from the resident doctors. Your action illegal. We will implement no work, no pay. The federal government is threatening. And at the downside of the paper still, we have court orders. Sheikh Kuti's remand for assaulting police officers. U.S. visa ban. Tinubu will be sworn in as president on May 29, coming from FFK. And EFCC officials arrested for killing colleague over items recovered from suspect. And that's all the news on First News newspaper.
On the Guardian newspaper, on World Hypertension Day, pressure, lifestyle increase, high BP among Nigerian youth. So I think this is something that we are supposed to all, read. You can find that story on page 6. All right, we have a call. Hello, good morning.
This is insecurity in Nigeria, in our country, because it's no longer our country. Means that the problem is political. The reason is that several times they have been killing an innocent people, killing military, even entering into killing military people. Have governor or state came to agitate on that matter? No, the answer is no. No one has come to protest of killing of the even military people in the country, in the state. So it means that it's politically, they know what is going on. Each time they will kill people in Kaduna, each time they kill people in Benue State, simply because government are there trying to marginalize some areas. My own opinion is that it is a time for Nigeria to wake up. Forget about what they are saying about the incoming president. Who is the incoming president? Old man who is who is about to go for his break.
Please, let's be very mindful of our language, sir.
Please. Very hard, because insecurity in Nigeria is still going on, it's still increasing. Killing people every day, and each time they say that Nigeria has no problem. We have a lot of problems, especially insecurity as of matter. Thanks, and God bless you all.
Thank you. Please, to our callers, let's be very mindful of our language. I understand sometimes emotions can be high, but please, let's be very, very civil with our language. It's very, very important, because we would love to hear what you have to say, but please, no use of any coarse or abusive words. And in relation to the insecurity, we believe and we are also in support that the government should do something to protect lives and properties, because that is their #1 responsibility. And then still on the Guardian newspaper, treatment costs 1.22 trillion naira monthly for 76.2 million Nigerians living with ailment. That's still in relation to the hypertension. So please, let's take care of our health. All right, we have another call on the line. Hello, good morning, sir. Hello, good morning. All right, I think we lost that call. Hope you called us back again. And so just like I was saying before the call came in, let's please take care of our health. Looking at the money that we spend, about 1.22 trillion naira monthly for about 76.2 million Nigerians, you know that this is really very, very serious. Yeah. So please, let's do take care of our health. And on May 29, Tinubu's inauguration, Sekrosan says Afenifere as Ohanizi this own plan to participate, which you can find on page 6. Yari kicks Akpabio leads over 40 senators to parley with National Working Committee. All right, our caller from Ghana. Good morning. Hello. All right, we hope you call us back again. We'd love to hear what our caller from Ghana have to say. And we have beware of Matawali, Ariwa use caution Tinubu launch CBN Naira policy. You can find on page 29. court remand Kuti over alleged assault, and we have resident doctors begin warning strike today. Set. Hello, good morning.
The issue of insecurity
All right.
is what I just want to comment on. So you have analyzed it all, but just for emphasis, that it baffled my imagination, and that our president will be receiving an award, going giving lectures on security. And it has not come to our mind that at one point in time, either Niger or Chad president went into war when he learned that Boko Haram attacked his soldiers and some of the soldiers were killed. He was there. But our own, we are just comfortable that nothing is happening, that it did not come to my door. On the other hand, I want to blame we Nigerians. Should we all take it up that the killing is enough and all over the whole street will come out? Let the people who are plotting the insurgency or the Boko Haram or ISWAP or whatever, let them just kill us at once. That would have been better for us. Should every Nigerian come out as other nations will protest, it would do us good. If not, the government is not there for us. What the government should now tell us is let every person get arms to defend himself or herself, or else we are tired of killing every day. You are walking on top of Nigerian blood. You drink water, you are drinking Nigerians' blood. You wash clothes with Nigerians' blood. What kind of a nation is this? Why must our government at this time treat us like this? Should our forefathers hand over these nations to them in this manner, would they have been able to handle the nation today? Let the government sit up. Let the governor sit up. Let the president sit up. We are tired of apology. We are tired of sympathy. Wherever anything happens, they will say it, well, this will not happen again. Take heart, take heart. For how long? We are tired. The government should sit up. If not, this will not go well with Nigerians and our soldiers who are equally also dying. I think it is high time they also protest. If you do not give us adequate weapon, we will not go anywhere. We will face you. Let the whole matter finished. How will on earth we will go out everywhere? We are hailed, then in our nation we cannot be heroes. It is shame. It is hard time the military also protest so that this menace will be something of the gun for our next generation coming. Now our children cannot go to school. We farmers cannot go to farm. But the herders are taking their animals around everywhere freely. What kind of a nation is this? Why do we value only one farming system in the country? Are we going to eat meat alone and get satisfied? It is hard time we sit down and think about the happenings in the country. Let the government sit up. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for bringing up, highlighting, some very crucial things that the government needs to look into. Of course, I know it's painful when you said we could just all come out, and there's nothing wrong with the protest. But most time when there is a protest, we have hoodlums, somebody somewhere that is watching to take advantage of that. So what is the best way right now? How can we go about all of this? Of course, it looks like the government is sleeping. But we are hoping that they wake up from their slumber, because the time to sleep is no longer there. In fact, it's no time to sleep right now, because the little sleep and we'll continue to suffer. I'm great, thank you. Good morning.
Yeah.
Please go on, sir. We are with you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go on. We are with you.
Okay. Good morning, Mrs. Rachel. Good morning, Mrs. I'm Sam. I'm calling in from Buhari.
All right, Mrs.
Abuja
Sam.
here.
Go on, please.
I want to react to the headline that says a high inflation in Nigeria, not peculiar to us alone. This is where we have become a victim of those who are benefiting from the shenanigans that is going on. Let me take us back to 2015, when for the first time this administration began to, recruit people belonging to a particular ethnic group at the expense of the larger Nigerians. We say building a nation is not the prerogative of just one ethnic group. That even the Federal Character Commission, put together, recognizing the fact that all harm must be brought, and talents and professionalism exists in every tribe. We were told, this same group of persons told us that the man is only selecting competence, as if competence is only peculiar to one ethnic group. Today, where are we? The socioeconomic indicators of this nation is out for everybody to see. We are worse off in everything, in every indicator. Is it the security even itself? So the three prongs to which the government promised that the economy, securities, and what have you, we are worse off. Now, what are they telling us? I think we are now leading as the most poorest country in the world. Where are the technicalities of these people that will say that they are the best and so they should be allowed to occupy? If they are now saying that the inflation, which they are not justifying, is not only peculiar to Nigeria, what about countries that their inflation is low? This regime made our inflation at 9.2 in April 2015. Today we are 22.22. Where on earth? And this is coming against a background that there are no money. How many people? Almost 130.33 million Nigerians are living in multidimensional poverty. It is there for everybody to see. These are even government statistics. So why would people be so inhuman? But I do not blame this regime, because our fellow citizens that we are in this deep water will be the one protecting them, and that's where we are. But we pray to God that at the end of what is coming, we're looking toward to the tribunal. If God will hear our prayer, we will pray that He hear our prayer, that at the end of this tribunal, the ordinary Nigerian for the first time will go to the street and celebrate. Thank you. I do have a good review.
Thank you, Mr. Sam, for that contribution. And we hope all of the points have been highlighted by our callers will be taken by the government official and the body. Just like I said, the time to sleep is over. It's over. It's high time we wake up in terms of our security, in terms of our economy, in terms of every other sector. True. We've seen that even from the paper, the resident doctor are saying that May 29 is the date they are giving for the intervention. And we hope something will be done before that day. So we'll just keep our fingers crossed. I hope more will be done. Still on the Guardian newspaper, manufacturers flee exercise duty increase call for suspension, which you can find on page 7. And we have multiple challenges cripple primary health care nationwide. It's an analysis which you can find that story being analyzed on page 4. And that's all on the Guardian newspaper.
On Daily Independent, federal government recklessness plunged Nigeria into inflation, coming from Soludo. Telco subscribers in dilemma as use of harmonized short codes begin. The big story, Senate OK's independent candidacy makes it difficult to fly. Seeks inclusion of National Assembly presiding officers in National Security Council. Iowa youth caution Tinubu against trusting Zamfara governor. Comments CBN governor over Naira redesign policy. Adamu warns Akpabio of coup on the floor of the Senate. This is still on the 10th National Assembly speakership and positions and the presidency. You can find the details on page 7. British MP reports slam oil firms allege environmental genocide in Bayelsa. Finally, Senate passes 876 billion naira 2023 NDDC budget. You can find the details on page 7. not experiencing self-imposed educational backwardness, coming from the minister. At the downside of the paper, we have transport minister denies meddling in NPA dredging contract. The details can be found on page 6. We have a picture story that shows Buhari's government has achieved food sufficiency for Nigeria, coming from the presidency, and you can find the details on page 29. And that's all the news on Daily Independent.
On the Metrics newspaper, Delay money laundering probe against me, fire me, begs EFCC. You can read that story on the front page and on page 4. Nigeria needs 350 trillion naira to execute national development plan, coming from the federal government. And we have another story here that says Tinubu holds secret peace talk with Kwankwaso in France. Kwankwaso may join the government of national unity. You can find that story on the front page and also on page 4. And on the 10th National Assembly leadership crisis, APC moves to avert crisis, meets Akpabio and senators-elect. Akpabio calls for prayer, say what he, Jibrin Baru, facing Aki to war. Abdullahi warned senators-elect not to be late to inauguration. G7 talk tough, says Tinubu not aware of APC zoning arrangement. You can find all of that story on page 2. Buhari back in Abuja after 2 weeks stay in London, which you can find inside the paper. Kyari alleged cocaine case, why called Bird lawyers and journalists from the trial. And we have Guinness World Record. Nigeria's chef Bachi gets 1 year free ticket from Dana Air. You can find that story inside. Government imposes curfew on Plateau local government over fresh killing, and we hope more will be done beyond the curfew set there. You can find more detail of that story on page 9. We are having the induction of the new and returning governors, where we can see them actually having some interaction. In the picture there, we can see Edo State Governor, Mr. Godwin Obaseki, Lagos State Governor, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, Ogun State Governor, Mr. Dabuna Biodun, and the Minister of Works and Housing, Mr. Babatunde Fashoda, during the 2023 induction for new and returning governors at the Presidential Banquet Hall, State House in Abuja yesterday. And that's all on the Metric newspaper.
On Nature News newspaper, we have Benin, Cote d'Ivoire to Premier African Development Bank $1.6 million Green Bank. NSIA and CCC partner to mitigate climate change and others. You can find the details on page 3. Climate change to cost Africa 12% per capita GDP growth by 2100. This is coming from Adesina. Kwara seals off China's query for environmental infractions. At the downside of the paper, Nigeria wheelchair basketball picks 2023 African Games ticket. The details can be found on page 21, and that's all the news on Nature News.
Alright, let's take a look at the new National Star newspaper, where we have hoodlum kill 4 U.S. Embassy staff in Anambra State and called bars non-party journalists from covering Kyari's trial, which you can find on page 2. And then we have NAS Christian Caucus reject the anti-Christianity bill. You can find on page 8. Bill to restrict doctors' migration unworkable, coming from the federal government, which we saw from yesterday. BBC investigation unearthed how INEC government official falsify presidential poll results. And then the writers say results manipulated in 2 local governments in Rivers State. Says INEC hired fake university staff as returning officers. You can read all of that story on page 18. Gunmen abduct 15 persons in Abuja Estate. And we have Senate introduce independent candidacy, include National Assembly presiding officers in Security Council. APC PDP disagree over U.S. visa ban on politicians, which you can find on page 17. And that's all on the new National Star.
On Nigerian News Direct, 5-day warning strike, uncertainty as federal government dares resident doctors and issues warning. The writer following that threatens no work, no pay. Rights of 200% pay rise demand. it is not feasible, coming from Ngige. Says ad hoc replacement will be employed, paid with striking doctors' pay for 5 days. We cannot tell National Assembly to stop compulsory 5-year service bill, coming from the federal government to meet doctors Wednesday. You can find the details on page 4. Abiodun hosts Egypt's biggest conglomerate. You can find the details on page 2, and is on agriculture. Nigeria needs 350 trillion naira for development plan, coming from the Minister of Finance. Revenue shortfalls pose fear before incoming governors. Osibajo offers focus on ICT. You can find the details inside the paper, and that's all the news on Nigerian News Direct.
Yeah, I think this is really the way forward, Rachel, for us to grasp the country by focusing on the ICT. A lot of sectors have actually been neglected, and we mentioned agriculture. And I think ICT is a sector that has been neglected. So maybe when we focus, we begin to see what can we do in relation to the tech to see that we boost, Nigeria, and then maybe it will actually help to look into our GDP and make it to be better. Well, that's how far we can go in the program. Thanks, Rachel, for doing this with me. Thank you to all the callers who called in this morning. Thank you to the crew members, our producer, the GM, the Echo Executive. Thank you to everyone. Until we come here again, please do remember to check yourself today for the World Hypertension Day. Have a blessed day ahead.